Involving his son in the mayhem is a whole other ballgame for a contentious guy than having his privacy invaded. Trump must have felt the same way when he said the FBI broke into Barron's bedroom. So what motivates them to act in this way? What was in Barron's room that required inquiry? And why was he chosen? Serious concerns regarding boundaries and the appropriateness of such surveillance towards family members are brought up by the occurrence. Given their tight relationship as father and son, and as two dominant figures in their respective domains, it is important to understand the closeness of Donald and Barron before delving into the alleged crimes committed by the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI. One might easily become engrossed in the news and political turmoil while contemplating the Trump family. The more private aspect, though, is the bond between Donald Trump and his son Barron, which remains hidden from the attention of the mainstream media. Their relationship provides a fascinating glimpse into the delicate balancing act between public celebrity and private family life, even if it isn't always in the spotlight. It wasn't your average childhood being the only child of Donald and Melania Trump. Despite having a renowned last name, Barron has managed to avoid the constant scrutiny of the media, which has given him a sense of normalcy. Simultaneously, his father's relationships with him are frequently scrutinized due to his family's position in the public eye. There seems to be a real bond between the two when they are in public together, like when a father beams with pride at his kid, or when there's a brief, tender moment at an occasion. The flamboyant, fearless, and unrepentant Donald Trump is well known for all of these things. Contrarily, Barron is often characterized as reserved and quiet, which many find to be a good match. Barron may have been able to draw on his father's excellent leadership abilities while yet establishing his own route because of their contrasting personalities. At the core of all the public perception and political controversy seems to be a loving if subtle friendship. So are they neighboring? Despite their respective hectic schedules, we might assume that they are. Would you concur? Being in the spotlight all the time presents its own unique set of difficulties. Barron may have learned early on to keep private matters private, given that her father is perpetually the object of public observation. Even though Donald Trump's public life and hectic schedule make it difficult for them to spend much time together, the times they do spend together are often filled with mutual support and pride. In interviews, Trump has made passing references to his son on occasion, demonstrating his respect for Barron's character and suggesting an unusually strong relationship between the two. Even in the most famous families, the link between a parent and kid is complex and unique. The relationship between Barron and Trump serves as a reminder of this. There are many ordinary moments in their relationship, such as sharing grins at public occasions, having private chats away from the cameras, and developing a mutual respect throughout the years. Despite the media's fixation on the story's political conflicts and issues, it's really about a father and son who, in their unique ways, navigate life together. No matter how often the details of their relationship are reported, the link between Donald Trump and Barron Trump is proof that familial ties endure. It serves as a gentle reminder that beyond the public sphere and political arguments, there exists an intimate realm where sincere affection, and a touch of common humor may have a profound impact. Let us return to the events in Barron's bedroom now that we have established the close bond between the two. In Barron's bedroom, what do they find? The continuing drama involving former President Donald Trump's political and legal struggles has gained another chapter with the uproar surrounding the FBI's search of Mar-a-Lago. In 2022, Trump made the controversial allegation that the FBI's inquiry of secret papers went much beyond normal bounds, even touching into his family's personal quarters. This remark has since aroused intense discussion. Trump claims that the agents searched his whole home, including Melania's possessions, and even his son Barron's bedroom, when he was 16 years old. The particular and inflammatory claims made by Trump are noteworthy. He said the FBI rifled through the First Lady's closet drawers and everything else during the search, which he called deep and ugly. and that his son's room was significantly changed as a result. If proven, these allegations would constitute a radical break from accepted investigative practices, as they imply a violation of privacy. People are very worried about the boundaries of government power and their right to privacy, and the idea that a teenager's bedroom may be used as a storage facility for secret papers is quite upsetting to them. Still, Trump's story doesn't sway everyone. During an appearance with MSNBC, Renato Mariotti offered a different viewpoint as a former federal prosecutor. According to Mariotti, the FBI would have decided to examine Barron's room since there was clear proof that the space contained pertinent documents. According to him, the search would be an appropriate and essential part of the inquiry if there were reasonable suspicions that the adolescent's room contained sensitive presidential or confidential documents. This expert's view is that rather than federal officials overreaching without cause, the presence of sensitive papers is the most likely explanation for such an intrusive search. The investigation's history only serves to heighten the debate. Several classified documents with Trump's handwriting were among the 184 found during an earlier search of the Mar-a-Lago resort by federal agents. Questions over Trump's handling of sensitive materials and potential violations of federal rules regarding presidential record-keeping have been intensified by this revelation. Concerns about the potential mishandling or storage of classified material have prompted a wider investigation of the protocols and duties governing the preservation and security of presidential records. In Trump's view, these events constitute a political struggle in addition to a subject of judicial review. He has insisted time and time again that he is innocent, seeing the inquiry as an attempt to oust him from power and stifle his followers. For the purpose of rallying his base and painting the investigation in a partisan light, Trump portrays himself in his rhetoric as the victim of a systemic effort to stifle dissent, claiming that the actions of federal authorities are part of a larger campaign against him and his amazing MAGA movement. This framing serves to imply that the legal challenges he faces are more about political retribution than accountability. There is a meeting point of political symbols, private rights, and judicial process at Mar-a-Lago. On the one hand, government investigations into classified documents are extremely thorough, since they are essential to protecting sensitive information and keeping the country secure. However, American principles about privacy and individual rights are fundamentally violated by the notion of government agents into private dwelling areas, particularly those of teenagers. There are still unanswered issues regarding the evidence that triggered the search and its actual breadth as the inquiry progresses. Disagreements between Trump's assertions and the analysis offered by attorneys like Mariotti demonstrate the complexity of situations involving high-stakes legal issues and entrenched political differences. Finding common ground in this politically divisive climate will need a meticulous examination of the facts and strict attention to the letter of the law if these concerns are to be resolved. The FBI's investigation into Mar-a-Lago and its consequences. The FBI's investigation of Mar-a-Lago has revealed divisions in American politics and reignited arguments over the handling of secret documents. A heated dispute, which is only going to heat up as more information becomes available, surrounds the question of whether the search was a necessary evil to protect national interests or an excessive invasion of privacy. Intense scrutiny, angry speech, and continual media buzz have all characterized the relationship between the FBI and Donald Trump. The central conflict in this epic is the meeting of two national institutions with diametrically opposed goals. Investigation of criminal acts, protection of the nation's security, and enforcement of legal standards are the cornerstones of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI. From terrorism to organized crime, this group has a history of complicated situations. Looking at the facts and following the evidence wherever it goes is, in principle, its role. Next, there's Donald Trump, a former businessman turned politician known for his unconventional political style and tactics. Bold statements, unusual campaign tactics, and a readiness to confront existing institutions were hallmarks of Trump's presidency and even his pre-presidential years. Many of his backers found solace in the narrative that emerged as a result of the FBI's investigations into his campaign and his activities. It was common for them to see these probes as political attempts to depose him rather than merely judicial ones. Trump saw the FBI as emblematic of the deep state that was opposing his agenda for the nation. He said the agency was biased and that its activities were more about maintaining the status quo than safeguarding the public. His followers shared similar views, which led to an atmosphere in the media where every word made by the FBI or Trump was scrutinized, argued over, and occasionally misquoted. Also, many Americans thought the FBI was doing the right thing by acting as a check and balance. Whatever the outcome of any inquiry into possible wrongdoing, they said, it was evidence of the robustness of American institutions. Looking at it this way, the FBI wasn't trying to undermine the president, it was just carrying out its duties. Persistent polarization has resulted from these divergent viewpoints. Not only did the FBI's probes into Trump's campaign and other issues make news, but they also widened the gap between the public and the Bureau. When it featured the president, whose unconventional methods and propensity to cause controversy made it into a media spectacle, what had been a routine procedural investigation involving other prominent figures became a circus. The FBI and Trump scandal ultimately reflects larger discussions over responsibility, authority, and the function of government agencies in our increasingly divided society. This tragic comedy shows how even long-standing organizations can't escape scrutiny in today's politically sensitive atmosphere. No one can deny that the encounters between the FBI and Trump have had a lasting impact on the national debate, whether they are seen as political moves or as essential balances on power. Now we can put this to rest. Despite being the son of Donald and Melania Trump, Barron Trump presents himself in media appearances as rather unconcerned about his public persona. On start with, he isn't exactly a prominent figure who is tweeting or posting photos on Instagram. In fact, he doesn't even have any public accounts. The fact that he isn't trying to gain notoriety by causing a commotion or making a daring statement says it all. What little we do know about him originates from fleeting glances captured by the media, such as random images, brief public appearances, or onlooker-captured moments. Surprisingly, our interest in his character grows in relation to the amount of time we spend seeing him. However, one would assume that the constant presence of Secret Service personnel and the weight of being a part of such a prominent political family would cause the children to revolt at some point. According to the reports, though, Barron follows a regimented, almost understated schedule. With motorcades, strict security, and a schedule that doesn't exactly provide much unfettered freedom, his existence is well orchestrated. It appears that he is more concerned with finding his way through his own circumstance than with fighting it. A dilemma has been somewhat spawned by this. Despite the public's impression of Barron as an enigmatic character with undisclosed influence or subtle magnetism, there is little proof that he is actively influencing the storyline. He's not trying to escape his problems or bask in the spotlight. In contrast, he appears to be embracing each moment as it comes, remaining composed in the face of everyone's scrutiny. Does Barron Trump appear troubled by the attention he is receiving in the media? Very unlikely. At least he can handle the limelight when called upon, for he makes rare appearances with his parents at big events. However, about his genuine opinions, no one knows for sure. Are you in agreement? Barron had anything but a typical childhood because he was a Trump. Luxurious history, an ever-present spotlight, a one-of-a-kind blend of attention, volatility, and glitz, shaped his environment rather than local playgrounds, backyard excursions, or quiet suburbia weekends. Imagine if, instead of playing tag or riding his bike, Barron had a front-row seat to some of the most pivotal episodes in contemporary American history, all while other kids his age were busy constructing forts or riding bikes. His surrounds, which included the iconic White House and the majestic New York City skyline, were more than just locations. They were integral to his narrative. Barron spent his formative years in the constant motion of New York, a place where aspiration and culture meet. His impression of the world was probably molded by the continual energy, diversity, and fast-paced lifestyle, which filled his boyhood with excitement and possibilities. Moving into the White House, however, was a watershed moment. He left behind the bustling city streets for a home that represents political authority, legacy, and duty. Living in the White House is a dream come true for most people. They think it's a movie. However, Barron considered it his home. His everyday existence was characterized by security details, historic surrounds, and the constant awareness that his every action may become a news story, rather than by unplanned trips to the park or spontaneous playdates. As he sat quietly, the walls around him murmured tales of presidents gone by and actions that changed the country. A youth unlike any other was shaped by this contrast between a wealthy urban background and the intensity of national leadership. Having access to exclusive schools, private parties, and experiences that the majority of people could only dream of is one form of obvious privilege. On the flip side, the public's attention was fixed on the subject. Everyone took an interest in his every move, scrutinizing and speculating about even the most ordinary occurrences based on his public persona and candid photos. But fundamentally, childhood is timeless. In good times and bad, there is always an urge to run around, play, and be a kid. The need for a life away from the spotlight, where one may learn from their errors and just be themselves, remains constant, even in the midst of a public persona. Living under such intense public scrutiny while yet attempting to establish her identity has probably been a fine balancing act for Barron as she has made her way through this society. Although he hasn't had the opportunity to fit in, he has learned perseverance and flexibility the hard way. From an early age, he learned that life is a combination of incredible chances and the difficulties that accompany the continual scrutiny that comes with being born into affluence, power, and history. In the end, Barron's upbringing isn't only an account of affluence and status, it's also a narrative of navigating a world where the monumental and the mundane, the burden of history and the innocence of youth intertwine. His formative years provide an unusual window into an illustrious and exceptionally demanding lifestyle. Nothing is ever straightforward when you're born into the Trump family. A grin, a casual excursion, or even simply going about his day may become a media moment or a subject of public curiosity. Barron has had an upbringing unlike any other, enjoying a life of privilege and frequent visits to the White House. Even though he has been in the spotlight a lot, his parents have done their best to maintain him a regular kid, so that he may have a normal childhood, playing with friends, developing interests, and not feeling pressured to perform at a certain level. His parents have made privacy a top priority, sending him to private schools and keeping his everyday activities out of the limelight. Barron wants nothing more than to be a typical youngster, despite the pressures that come with having a renowned surname. The ups and downs of his life show that even the most famous individuals are just like the rest of us, full of goals, ambitions, and daily hardships. In your opinion, is Barron achieving his life goals? There has always been something unusual about the bond between Barron Trump and his mother Melania, silent, private, and unlike any other high-profile parent-child dynamic. Melania has undoubtedly been instrumental in molding Barron's upbringing, protecting him from undue public scrutiny, and sustaining a tight, nearly traditional mother-son bond, even while the world is enthralled by his story. Barron did not grow up in a household where nannies or personal helpers were around at all times, unlike many children from affluent or famous families. Over the years, Melania has made it clear that she is an involved mother who oversees every aspect of Barron's upbringing. She continued to prioritize parenting Barron even while she served as First Lady throughout Donald Trump's administration. In interviews, Melania has discussed how she and Barron's father prioritized conventional parenting styles, providing them with structure, discipline, and direction. While she was alive, she kept a link to her history alive by personally supervising her son's schedule, making sure he spoke Slovenian well, and attending school and extracurricular activities. Barron appears to have had a more intimate childhood, influenced by a mother who favored to be actively involved, in contrast to the typical backdrop of an entourage for children of politicians and celebrities. Their intensely protective bond is one of the most remarkable features of their relationship. Melania has made a point of shielding Barron from the spotlight, in contrast to many political families who bring their children into the spotlight. Barron was the unassuming family member who seldom made news, even when the rest of the Trump family was in the limelight during the president's tenure. Melania's defense of Barron was on full display when she dealt with criticisms hurled at him. She made her disapproval of unwarranted scrutiny of her son Barron obvious when prominent persons made derogatory remarks about him, swiftly defending him. Her overprotectiveness is consistent with her parenting style, which entails providing Barron with a safe haven away from the harsh scrutiny of the public eye and the demands of fame and politics. Traditional European motherhood is frequently seen as valuing discipline, education, and family values, much like Melania's parenting approach. Despite being the son of a prominent modern political person, she has inculcated these values in Barron, helping him to remain grounded. American affluence and European cultural influences combined to form Barron's formative years. Melania was known to make sure he had a regular schedule, assist him with his schoolwork, and even cook for him. Melania allegedly kept things as regular as possible for her husband, even though the White House has a complete team to attend to his requirements. The fact that Melania has been Barron's rock in many ways is what sets their relationship apart. In contrast to Donald Trump's larger-than-life image and continual media presence, Melania and Barron have frequently lived in relative obscurity. Melania has said that Barron is her top priority, and their strong relationship shows that. There appears to be a foundation of mutual respect in this mother-son connection as well. It appears that Melania's influence has helped Barron cultivate self-control and restraint, as he is seldom spotted behaving out in public or causing a sensation in the media. He has chosen to keep a low profile rather than embrace the fame that comes with his surname, which may be an outcome of Melania's deliberate attempts to provide him with an ordinary childhood. What happens to Barron and Melania's relationship when he gets older is anybody's guess. So far, he hasn't changed much from the reserved, calm personality that characterized him throughout his youth. He will probably keep acting independently and with prudence, qualities that Melania has ingrained in him because of the great effect she has had on him. Barron has had an incredibly unusual childhood compared to the norm, especially considering how many famous children are in the spotlight from a young age due to their continual media attention. That is in large part due to Melania's role as a mother, which has been powerful, protective, and very involved. Their relationship serves as a poignant reminder that, amidst the abundance of political rhetoric and media coverage, the unbreakable link between a mother and her kid continues to be a key and formative factor in a child's development. Even though we don't have a clue as to what Barron keeps in his bedroom, we do know a little something about his closet. Not only does Barron come from a famous family, but his dress choices and rather low-key lifestyle have also made him famous. Barron, in contrast to past presidential children, has avoided the spotlight as much as possible, making very rare appearances at public occasions alongside his parents. But when he's in public, his style usually does the talking. Barron wore sharp-cut suits from a young age on, taking style cues from his father. Unlike other presidential children, he was often seen in suits, dress shirts, and polished shoes when he was a little kid. Melania Trump, who has impeccable taste and was formerly a model, has probably had a big hand in selecting his clothes. She has frequently mentioned that Barron is more into wearing suits and formal wear than the average kid's clothes. Fashion has taken a back seat to Barron's maturation as a man. His towering stature, more than 6 feet 7 inches, makes him an attention magnet. A more polished and contemporary approach has been his style leaning, with an emphasis on blending parts of both casual and elegant dressing. Sneakers by designer brands, fitted jackets, and ultra-sleek ensembles that combine American simplicity with European grace have all been seen on him. Similar to his mother's taste for muted tones and sophisticated cuts, his outfit selections reveal an admiration for high fashion with an air of subtlety. What is Barron's academic performance like? Regarding his schooling, Barron Trump has been mostly shielded from public view. Nonetheless, others are still interested in his scholastic life despite this. Barron, being the son of a former president, had an unusual educational experience compared to the typical American student. It is hardly surprising that Barron, considering his family's prominence, attended prominent elite schools from a young age. Barron became the first president's kid not to attend Sidwell Friends School in decades, when she attended St. Andrew's Episcopal School in Potomac, Maryland, when Donald Trump was in office. Barron Trump remained enrolled in the prestigious Palm Beach, Florida, School Oxbridge Academy after the Trump family vacated the White House in 2021. The school is located near the Mar-a-Lago estate. Barron, who comes from a famous family, has kept a quiet profile while attending school. Because Melania Trump is concerned about Barron's safety and privacy, he has avoided the limelight more than his more politically involved elder siblings. He probably doesn't have to worry about his safety at school because Secret Service operatives are there to protect him. Because of his mother's Slovenian ancestry, Barron supposedly speaks both English and Slovenian fluently as a student. Sports, and soccer in particular, captivate him. There is limited information available on his academic achievements, but it appears that he has had a balanced education that includes languages, sports, and the more conventional forms of schooling. Barron has unquestionably had access to the greatest teachers and resources available to him as the son of a millionaire businessman and a former model. Barron is physically noticeable among his peers due to his height of 6 feet 7 inches. Even though he has not made a career out of athletics, his enormous stature has garnered the attention of basketball and other sports lovers. Regardless, he probably has a lot of fun at school, engages in extracurriculars, and has a special sense of safety that not many other children have. We can only speculate as to the extent to which Barron Trump's private school life suits his family's preferences, but we can be certain that he receives an excellent education there. He has the means and connections to follow nearly any career path he wants, be it in business, athletics, politics, or something totally other. Only time will tell what he has in store for the future. Do not hesitate to leave a remark below. Stick around for more videos like these by subscribing to the channel.